Welcome back to Next Gen Investing. It's now time to discuss one of the biggest moves we're seeing throughout the session, that being in Lithium Americas. So joining us now to discuss more about this Trump administration seeking now an equity stake in the company, I'd like to welcome in Kevin Green, senior markets correspondent for the network. So Kevin, walk us through this story. You have a great expertise in the rare earths side of the overall market. So I'm curious your thoughts on really their further developments here and working with the Trump administration.
Yeah, this is actually a little bit interesting and a little bit different than what we saw for MP Materials. So the report obviously is that the Trump administration is looking at an equity stake into Lithium Americas here. We are seeing the stock up over 90% so far in the session, but this is actually going to potentially be the result of renegotiating a Department of Energy contract that was provided to the company at the time of the Biden administration to try to renegotiate some of these terms, especially the payment terms. And in doing so, it seems like the Trump administration is open to receiving potentially some warrants that gives them access to equity into the company if this deal actually does go through. So a little bit different than what we saw for MP Materials or what we saw for Intel, but this is actually going to be very interesting. They are working on this Thacker Pass mine operation that's in Nevada, and they're trying to obviously expand their operations, and they need these loans in order to do so because it's so costly to try to build out a lithium mine as well as expand the processing within this mine as well. So this is where this deal is really trying to center around. Now, if you're looking at the lithium production here in the United States, we're doing less than around 5,000 tons or megatons of lithium a year. If you compare that to China, China's doing around 40,000 metric tons at this point in time. So we still are behind the 8 ball when it comes to the lithium production here in the United States as a whole, but this could be another, once again, step towards trying to build out our own processing capabilities here in the United States. So we are seeing the shares a little bit higher. Yes, it was trading at around $3, but you also have to be mindful too. There's a significant amount of shares that are issued into the market as well as that public float. So it's a lot harder to really try to push these shares aggressively higher like we saw for MP Materials that had a little bit of a lower public float or share availability, if you will. So a nice run to the upside here. It's a strategic move potentially, but it's on the back of also some other deals in the background between the Department of Energy and Lithium Americas.
KG, well said. Let's take a step back and look at this big picture. I think, the Trump administration moved quickly, trying to establish trade policy in a hawkish way to, try to incentivize onshoring of manufacturing. And one of the key levers that I think they were maybe surprised by or ill-prepared for was that China basically pulled the rare earth and the lithium production and all these resources that they kind of have a stranglehold on the market. So looking ahead, and you put your thinking cap on, could you see more of this type of activity as we try to shore up our own manufacturing and production of these resources going forward?
You can, when you kind of talk about lithium production or rare earth metals or minerals, we have a lot of rare earth minerals here in the United States. The problem is actually processing or smelting or refining those minerals, which is where China really comes in. If you're looking at just the lithium production or refining just in general for the world, China does 75% of the refining. In fact, Australia actually mines more than China does, but China has better output or more output just because of the infrastructure. So even though we are going to see this expansion of mining operations here in the United States, the real issue is actually processing. And so will we see maybe an uptick in processing activity, Alex? I think that's going to be the case. There's only a couple of companies that actually do that. You have Albemarle, and then you have pretty much Lithium Americas at this point in time. So it's kind of centered around the two. Let's see what type of structure the DOE comes up with in order to try to expand those operations. And it will take time. We're not going to be able to divest ourselves away from China at this moment because they do have a stranglehold. If you're looking at over the next 8 to 10 years, those operations can expand here in the United States. We'll have less dependency on China. And we also may be able to bring in some of that mining production from Australia, which would be very huge in building our alliance with them. So over time, it could be something very big, but it's going to be incremental steps. And I think mining is not just going to be the end-all be-all for this project here. It's going to be refining of these rare earth metals and minerals just in general that's going to get us to the promised land.
Okay, and good point there, and I agree with you there. And up 97%, so clearly the market is definitely taking this news in stride. So appreciate it, Kevin Green, for that breakdown.